Hi, I'm here with Michal Ong, who is the translator of this book, A Very Noisy Christmas, that I wrote. And this is the first time at the Good Book Company we've produced something that is bilingual. It's in English, of course, and simplified Chinese with something called Pinyin. And Michal is here to answer my questions about what this book is, how it works, and what our hopes are for it as it goes out into the world to be read by parents and children. Michal, how many Chinese speakers are there in the world?
Right, so I think there's about 1.3 billion Chinese speakers in the world. It's actually lots of them within China. And of course, there's Chinese all over the world, outside China as well. So yeah, I think quite a lot.
And Michal, how many Chinese speakers are there living outside China?
So I think in UK alone, that's about 1 million Chinese speaker. And I think about in US is 3.5 million Chinese speakers. And another Western country like Australia, there's almost about 1 million Chinese speaker.
Now, Michal, there are two main Chinese dialects. Can you just explain the differences between them for me, please?
So within Chinese, there are different dialects. And so Mandarin is one of them, and Cantonese is one of them, and there are many other different types of dialect. But out of all those dialects, Chinese, I believe, it's the most widely used, widely spoken.
Mandarin Chinese.
Mandarin Chinese, beg your pardon. Yeah.
Okay. And Michal, it gets a bit more complicated, doesn't it? Because there are two ways of writing the script. Traditional Chinese script and simplified script, which is the script that we have created this book in. What's the difference between them?
So they're just like different ways of writing. Essentially, you would read it exactly the same way. But for example, people from my mum and dad's generation will be learned traditional Chinese. My generation, most of us learn simplified Chinese. They are just, it is slightly easier to write compared to traditional Chinese. So I believe if somebody actually learn traditional Chinese, they should be able to make guesses to how to read the characters.
For simplified script.
For simplified script,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Now, underneath the Chinese, there are some words that I can read in English, or at least pronounce in English. I can't read them to understand them. And this is called something called Pinyin. Can you explain what that is to me, please?
Okay, so Pinyin, it's a phonetic system. It's a useful tool for somebody like you, Tim, to learn how to read Mandarin. So I believe you'll be able to, if you learn how to read Pinyin, in no time you'll be able to read Mandarin. So it's a bit like when we learn phonics. You learn a few rules and then you'll be able to sound any words.
Now, Michal, you live in England and you're married to an English speaker, you have 3 children, and you're trying to raise your children bilingually, speaking both Chinese and English. Can you explain to me, please, why books like this, dual language books like this, are so important to the many, many parents in your situation?
So as a mother with a Chinese heritage, bringing up 3 young children, I hope they learn to speak many languages, English, Mandarin. So I spend a lot of time trying to find resources for them. I find very difficult to get to buy Chinese books in this country. So instead, I actually translated some of the English books that my kids love, and then put sticky tape, write it down with pens. And then whilst I was researching, I actually stumbled across the Good Book Company. I love this particular series. And I said to my husband, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we can translate this book? Because, you know, it's available in almost every other languages, including Korean, but why is it not available in Mandarin? But I actually just left it at that. That was quite a few years ago. And then before I know it, we thought we'll bring some Chinese book in this country. And then we had a friend called Richard introduce me to Tim. And then they offered me a chance to translate this book. I just thought, oh, wow, what an opportunity. Yeah.
Michal, thanks for your answers here. Who would you say this book is suitable to give to? And if you were giving it to someone who was raised in a country or a culture where they know and write in traditional script, not simplified script, is there a problem with that?
Even if somebody read traditional script, I believe they'd be able to work it out, because I have tested it with my parents, so they're able to read it out, although they learned it in traditional script, so you don't have to worry about that. With Pinyin, anyone that learned how to knows how to read Pinyin will be able to read this, and also for churches, I believe, or anybody, you can use it as an evangelist tool, just to give it as gifts to anybody, to spread the word, the good news about Christmas.
Michal, thanks so much, and thank you for making this book work. I think this would be a perfect Christmas gift to any Chinese-speaking family that you know, and it's a great way to start a conversation about the reason for the season. Hope you have a very noisy Christmas.